G'day Bomber fans, we have got some team news. Team news on a Saturday, which feels wrong. It just does feel wrong, doesn't it? The team news, the Thursday teams come out. Everyone's talking about McMahon and Lowell being possible debutants, and then it is crickets the next day when they're actually announced. But yeah, team news, still plenty to talk about. Big ins for both these teams, big omissions too. Huge game, very keen for it. We're going to get right into it, but first, I want to just get you guys hyped for the draft a bit, because on Sunday, or tomorrow, I'll be heading over to Dylan Alexander's channel. Incredible YouTuber, by the way. If you haven't followed him already, you're doing something wrong, because he knows just about all you can know about footy. He is a big brain individual, but I'm heading over there for a live stream of the Vic Metro versus SA Champs game, which means I will, be talking about Hussein Elachkar and Adam Swade, NGA prospects for the future for Essendon. So you do not want to miss that. That is tomorrow pre-noon around 11:45. I'll see you Bomber fans there in the chat. Hop on and ask us some questions. Should be good fun. But yeah, let's get into this. Alrighty, ins and outs. We're going to start with our opponents, even though they've made heaps of changes. And may I just say, Pommy in Oz, by the way, I messaged him asking for some tips for the Carlton team. He nailed it. I would not have thought that, Orazio Fantasia would return, but he's back. He nailed that. El Silvani returns from injury. Williams returns from injury. Chincotta is back to tag merit, you would think. 4 very big ins right there. And on the way out, we've got a young Harry O'Farrell, Lewis Young, 2 key defenders. Jackson Binns and Corey Durden are all out. So yeah, interesting changes. They keep Will White in the team. Lewis Young out is surprising. Maybe they see the lack of height we have around the ground and are kind of matching us to play the conditions a bit. As for the Bombers, we have made the one change. As expected, we've brought in Darcy Parish for Elijah Tsatas. He goes back to the VFL. Really unfortunate for the young man. He just isn't having much luck at all. And look, I get that this is going to be the main talking point in the comments. People are pretty annoyed about this. Fair enough. It's pretty clear that he just is not really getting a fair go at it this year unless injuries come around. But unfortunately, the one area of the ground that we're fit in right now is our midfield. And, we're very depleted elsewhere. A good way to give Carlton the upper hand would be to leave Parish on the outer, our only, all-Australian member in the midfield, maybe if merits in defence, and leave Tsatas in, who's unfortunately underperformed a bit at AFL level. There were plenty claiming that Parish could come in for Hobbs or Day Wicks or someone. It just doesn't work like that, I feel like it would have to be for a pure mid, and all our midfielders are performing really well. Setterfield's playing too well to be dropped. Caldwell and Durham the same. We're already having to move players around to give Martin a go in there. So, yeah, Parish and Tsatas were never going to play in the same team. I just don't see how we would have fit both of them in. It had to be Parish or Tsatas, and for me, it just makes sense to bring in Parish. It's annoying, but it makes sense. Feel free to disagree down in the comments below. I know plenty will, but I just, don't think the right way to build a winning culture is by rewarding players who are performing at a lesser ability at the top level than others, and Parish is a proven player. Tsatas, unfortunately, his flaws in his game are being exposed at AFL level. I just want to see him playing VFL, getting confidence back, and then getting a full game when he has really earned one. I don't like him as the sub. You guys would know that. I think what we're doing this week is better than what we did last week where we made him the sub, because that is silly. All right, let's look at the actual teams, starting with our opponents. Really strong top-end talent on this list. You got Wiedering, Silvani, Adam Sard, obviously Paddy Cripps, we know who he is. Blake Acres is such an underrated player still somehow. George Hewitt is a beautiful man. Harry Mackay, Charlie Curnow, TDK, Walsh. Yeah, there are some awesome players in this team. But then as you get past those names, it does get a bit iffier. And even some of those names just aren't performing this year either. So yeah, elite at its best. If footy was a 5-man sport, I reckon the Blues may have the best team in the comp. That isn't unreasonable to say at all. 2 common medalists, 2-time Brownlow winner. Wiedering was All-Australian last year, I think. I hope. I'd sound silly if he wasn't. But yeah, it falls away pretty fast after that, and there are plenty of floaters on this list. Yeah, for me, this is a team really reliant on its best players, which could easily bring some negating roles into it. Does Setterfield run with Cripps? Probably. Does Guelphy try and run with Sard? Goldie on TDK? Dersmer on Acres is going to be really interesting. There's going to be lots of little roll battles around the park, but the only area that I'm really truly worried about in this game, despite the probably wet conditions, the only area I'm worried about is the key forward line. Mackay and Curnow playing on Laverty and Redmond, that is a recipe for disaster. We just don't have any other options right now. But yeah, plenty to really like about this Carlton lineup, plenty to hate about it. And the thing is, right, if there are any Carlton fans out there, they can agree or disagree, because I didn't really look into it too much. But I'm fairly sure this is Carlton almost full strength. Obviously, Nick Newman is out. That is massive. He's a really important player. Aside from that, I can't really think of many players on the sideline. So if you're a Carlton fan, let me know in the comments. Jagger Smith, obviously, but he hasn't even made his debut yet. So, yeah, let me know, Carlton fans. I'll say near full strength. So, yeah, a near full strength Carlton going up against the depleted Bombers. All the pressure is on the Blues. You know, they have to get the job done here. And on to the depleted Bombers. Yeah, that backline is still looking pretty... yeah, pretty funny. Laverty, the lone key back. Redmond and Pryor probably sharing Kerno, you would think. That is scary. Zach Johnson keeps his spot after a promising debut. Clark's still in the team, which is great. Dave Wick's still in the team. You know, I think we have to re-energise ourselves a bit here with this game. Last week before the Brisbane game, you know, we're the baby Bombers. We're looking for glimpses, you know, injured but playing the kids. I think we had 6 or 7 players under 20. Same this week, I assume. I haven't kept a close eye on the birthdays. But yeah, again, not the whole team, but for the kids, it's about glimpses. You know, I think we should really be challenging for a win here as a team, but I'm really keen to see more of Zach Johnson, more of Angus Clark, Day Wicks and Kako in the forward line. I'm keen to see how Caddy goes after the media hyped him up all week. Archie Roberts is still building his rising star case. So yeah, it's another fun, young lineup for the future. You know, this is what we're going to look like in a few years. Very weak in defence, but we won't look like that, hopefully. Our 4 key defenders before Laverty are all injured, obviously. It's pretty weak in the ruck, not much height, but luckily it's raining, which should take away the aerial advantage that Carlton get. That should really help us. But yeah, pretty weak lineup, all things considered. I don't think it's unreasonable to say that. But we did shock the Lions a bit with a lineup arguably worse than this, you know, without Darcy Parish. So yeah, keen to see how it stacks up against the Blues, who are a couple names away from being fully fit, I think. As for the sub, with Carlton... I don't know, Fantasia, maybe. I'll probably get that wrong. I usually get the Essendon sub wrong too. You know, I get the ins and outs pretty right most of the time, but I never get the sub right. So I'm gonna guess it's Archer Day Wicks or Jade Gresham. That's my smoky. I think Jade Gresham. But yeah, let's end this video with some players to watch out for. Alrighty, who is it a big game for, or big night for this weekend? Tomorrow night, sorry. Starting with Jaden Laverty. Look, the Blues are a high entry team. Mackay and Kerno, they're going to get plenty of looks. Laverty is going to be one busy bloke. And yes, he was fantastic last week against the Lions, but this week he is up against a dual Coleman medal winning monster. Those two really could get off the leash. So Laverty has to be on them. You know, he's got to be sound, he's got to be solid, he's got to be reliable. And if he does that, he does his job. Massive night for Laverty. Another one is Will Setterfield. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the midfield battle plays out. But one thing I can, you know, guarantee is that Setterfield will probably run with Paddy Cripps at stoppages. He's, you know, similar height. Cripps is their most dangerous player. Yeah, we need to nullify the impact of their better players. And if we do that, it gets us closer to winning. So I think we'll see Setterfield play a role on Carlton's captain tomorrow. And that is a big duel. Yeah, he's been great this year, Setterfield, as well. So really excited to see how he goes with probably his biggest test of the year. And finally, this is probably the biggest inclusion we've had all year in a few ways. But Darcy Parish, this just feels like a really significant period for him. There's going to be change at Essendon. At the end of the year, there will be, I mean. It does feel like Parish is back auditioning to be that midfielder for the future that we can rely on while others develop. He will need to impress though, because, you know, we've seen what Rosa is like with players he doesn't see in his plans. Stringer's case in point. So yeah, massive game for those 3 players and more. You know, just a big game in general. I'm going to stick with my Carlton tip. I just think they should win this game. They've got more on the line than us. But gee, an upset would be pretty fun. So yeah, anyway, that is all for now. I'll see you on Monday, hopefully for a match review. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be with Dylan Alexander watching the footy. So make sure you tune into that to know all about our NGA prospects, Hussein Alachkara and Adam Swade, and more. You know, there'll be plenty of players playing that Essendon will have, you know, their eyes on for the draft. But yeah, stay tuned. Big weekend. Like, subscribe, and go Bombers.